Rolling.
What is up, people of the world? This is your host, Sweet Tea. And before we get into this week's episode, I want to hold myself accountable and let you know that Dick Francisco is not going to be joining us this week. I promised you some Dick this week, and I'm showing up dickless. So, sorry to our loyal listeners that do tune in for Dick and her antics, and we look forward to having her back soon. And I know that she and Safe are going to be particularly disappointed in missing this week's topic, which is going to be the World Cup in Qatar, or Qatar, or however you choose to pronounce it. There seems to be more news coming out about what's going on off the field than what's going on the field or the pitch. So that's what I'm going to be diving into this week. If you care to follow me, you may do so on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or wherever podcasts are available by searching for the Catch the Sky podcast. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And you may also find me on Twitter at CTS Terry. So be sure to follow me there. If it's still around, I don't know how much longer that thing's going to last. Anyway, getting into what is going on in Qatar. There's a number of places that we can start, but I guess the easiest place to start is with the treatment of the migrant workers there. And this is something that was kind of foreseen as going to be an issue and has continued to be an issue. Amnesty International has a whole page dedicated to this, and you can go over the numbers there. But to cite some quick hitters here, these guys are getting paid roughly $220 a month, and some of them are living up to 8 in a room, and there's only supposed to be 4 in a room, and these conditions are, not ideal for human beings, especially what we would consider ideal and hospitable in the United States. So these guys are going through pretty rough conditions, and some of them are not getting paid on time, if at all, and they're being threatened because a lot of their employers have their passports. So if they want to go home, they don't even have a way to do so. So they could be arrested, and the whole situation is pretty medieval. And I think, I'm not sure if he's the president or what his position is of FIFA. He went on a huge tirade at the beginning of the week for like an hour about a variety of different things. And one of the points he was making is that I think different cultures try to learn things at different speeds, and that we should use this as an opportunity to try to teach the people of Qatar. And they've also really just put their own foot in their mouth by talking so much. Like, let the sport do what it's there to do, and don't make it about the dark underbelly that everybody's pointing out. I mean, he should know from at least a PR perspective to not talk so much. But when there's this much to be held accountable for, what do you do? So another issue with the migrant workers is, in addition to not living in the greatest of circumstances, there's a ton of them. There's approximately 1.7 million migrant workers there right now, and a lot of them are working on this soccer/football infrastructure. And while they're there, they should at least be permitted to walk about the city and go to the store, get things for themselves. But in some instances, they're not even being granted their appropriate working papers, so they're afraid to leave the place where they're residing or their work site. So imagine essentially being held hostage to work after you paid to go to a place to try to make a better living for yourself. It's not ideal. Meanwhile, the people at FIFA are raking in billions, and this is their biggest event. This whole situation is kind of the result of a paradigm shift in where a lot of the money is flowing in the globe. We see a lot of Middle Eastern-led teams, groups, coalitions, firms, whatever you want to call them, purchasing soccer teams, football teams, right? And there's been the whole live golf situation. They want to get into sports. They got the money to do it, and people are being swayed easily by it. So it's definitely turned me off to sports, and that's why I think we've had fewer sports episodes over the course of the last year and a half. But I definitely wanted to hit on this subject and would be interested to hear what you think on it. So the thing that everybody wants to talk about are these armbands and how FIFA made an announcement shortly before the tournament that any captains wearing these One Love armbands that depict a rainbow heart on them would be given a yellow card at the beginning of the match, which is obviously not an advantage. So I believe all of the countries decided to back down from wearing those. And FIFA did distribute their own version of some non-discrimination armband, but it wasn't the same. And they're definitely trying to curb any expression of anything that would be considered distasteful in Qatar. Belgium couldn't even have the word love on the back of their collars. And this includes the consumption of alcohol. So people are showing up. Here's another thing. People are showing up and they're thinking that they're going to be staying at, a hotel. They paid all this money, right? Some people are showing up and they're staying in basically elaborate canvas tents that one might see on a glamping trip, but they're using communal bathrooms with their campmates. So it looks more like an elaborate EDM festival as opposed to the World Cup. But what do I know? And in addition to that, a lot of these fans that are used to having a drink while they watch the game, that's something people do here, and then get in their car and drive home, which is, again, not ideal. So maybe the people of Qatar are onto something here, but they have banned the consumption of alcohol during the games and up to 3 hours before and 1 hour after. So anytime there's a game at the stadium, you can't pregame or hang out afterwards and have a drink or anything like that. They have designated drinking zones, but again, there's a limited amount. They're not close to the stadium, and you're probably going to sweat it all out by the time you get there, which is what they want. I understand the thought process behind it, but they hit people with this. Probably some of them were up in the air when the news was being dropped. They had no idea what they were coming into. So there's just been a lot of that, a lot of moving of the goalposts, so to speak, as the games go on. So hopefully as the tournament continues, we'll be able to enjoy the product that is being put out on the field. I know that Fox intends to avoid a lot of the political drama by just focusing on the games and not really discussing anything else that's happening. They're kind of taking a policy to only discussing what's happening on the pitch, and they don't want to get into all that drama. They're going to leave it to the other channels, so to speak. I hope that the United States has a good showing and doesn't do anything to embarrass themselves. And I hope that this whole experience and the media backlash will be a learning experience for FIFA, but This isn't the first time they've made themselves look like idiots in the news and just pressed onward with a dumb decision. So who knows? Maybe they're just trying to one-up themselves. Thank you for tuning in. This is your host, Sweet Tea. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at CTS Terry or on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever podcasts are available by searching for the Catch the Sky podcast. We appreciate you tuning in, and until next week, keep trying to catch the sky.